You ever feel like your weaknesses, your struggles, are just holding you back? Well, we're about to dive into a chapter that completely flips that idea on its head. This is our deep dive into 2 Corinthians chapter 4. We're going to go verse by verse and see how our most fragile, broken parts might actually be the very things designed to show off our greatest strength.
This whole chapter really boils down to one wild question. What if your biggest weakness wasn't a flaw, but a feature? What if it was designed, on purpose, to reveal a strength you didn't even know you had? It's a paradox, and it's at the heart of everything we're about to see. So let's get into it.
All right, so our journey starts with what the text calls a ministry of light. This first chunk, verses 1 through 6, is all about setting the stage. It's about the mission, the message, and why it's so incredibly important. Let's jump in.
So here we are at verse 1. I want you to picture someone standing at the beginning of a long, really difficult road. You'd think they'd look tired, right? But no. Their face is full of determination. And the verse tells us why. This whole mission, this ministry, it's not a chore they have to do, it's a gift they've received out of mercy. And that gratitude, that's the fuel. That's why they do not lose heart.
Moving on to verse 2. Now, imagine that same person holding this really elaborate, complicated mask, and then just dropping it. That's the vibe here. It's about a total commitment to honesty. No tricks, no slick marketing, no hidden agendas. They've given up anything that's shameful or tricky. It's just about showing the truth, plain and simple.
Now, verse 3 throws a bit of a curveball at us. Picture someone looking at the most beautiful sunrise you've ever seen, but right in front of their face, there's this thin, gray veil, and it just washes out all the color. The point is, the message isn't a secret. It's right there in plain sight. But for some people, something is blocking them from seeing its full beauty.
And verse 4 tells us exactly what that veil is. The visual gets even more intense. Think of a close-up on someone's eyes, and there's this weird, glitchy, digital blindfold over them. The verse says the God of this age is actively creating this static, this interference, to literally blind people's minds so they can't see the light of the gospel.
So what's the antidote to that blindness? Well, verse 5 gives us a powerful clue. You see someone holding a megaphone, but, and this is key, they aren't pointing it at themselves. They're aiming it away from themselves, towards this radiant symbol. The message is crystal clear. It's not about the messenger. They're just servants, pointing to the one who really matters.
And this first section wraps up with a bang in verse 6. Think all the way back to the beginning of everything, a totally dark, empty void. And then the command, let there be light. This verse is saying that that same God, with that same creative power, is the one who has shined a light inside our hearts, lighting us up with his glory.
Okay, now we're getting to the absolute core of this chapter, the part it's famous for, treasure in clay jars. This is where that idea we started with, strength coming from weakness, just explodes onto the scene. We're about to see how something divine gets stored in something so ordinary.
Verse 7 introduces us to this amazing idea of treasure in earthen vessels. Now, these earthen vessels were just simple clay pots, cheap, breakable, totally disposable. But look at this one. It's cracked, it's flawed, and brilliant golden light is pouring out of the cracks. That's the whole point. The jar isn't what's valuable. It's just the container. The cracks don't ruin the treasure. They reveal it.
All right, get ready, because verses 8 and 9 hit us with this rapid-fire series of contrasts. First up, in verse 8, picture someone being squeezed from all sides by this incredible pressure. It looks like they should be crushed, but they're not. They're standing firm. They might be confused or perplexed by what's happening, but they absolutely refuse to give up hope.
And the rhythm keeps going in verse 9. On one side, someone is hit and knocked to the ground. Looks like game over. But on the other side, that same person is pushing themselves back up. They're bruised, yeah, but they are not destroyed. They can be hunted down, but they're never actually abandoned.
Okay, verse 10 takes this whole paradox thing even deeper. We see these faint scars, and they're glowing with this soft light. This is what it means to be carrying about the dying of the Lord Jesus. Put simply, it means that their own suffering and sacrifice actually becomes the very thing that makes the life of Jesus visible to everyone around them. And verse 11 just doubles down on that exact same idea. Imagine a candle burning down. The wax is like our fragile mortal lives. But here's the twist. Instead of a tiny little flame, it's radiating this powerful, brilliant light that fills the entire room. It shows that the very process of being used up for this cause is what reveals that divine life inside. So verse 12 wraps up this thought with this wild summary. Look at this watering can. It's cracked, it's old, it's falling apart. That's the death working in us. But from those same cracks, life-giving water is pouring out and making a plant grow and thrive. That's the life in you. The hardship the messenger goes through is what brings spiritual life to other people.
Okay, so you have to be asking, why? Why would anyone choose to endure all of this? Well, this next section, Speaking What We Believe, gives us the answer. It's all about the powerful, unbreakable connection between what you truly believe in your heart and what you can't help but do and say.
It all boils down to this one powerful line in verse 13. I believed, and therefore I spoke. And the visual here is everything. You see a person speaking, but their words aren't just invisible sound waves. They're becoming actual particles of light. It shows that their belief is so real, so solid, that speaking it is just an automatic, unstoppable reaction.
And what's the core belief that fuels all of this? Verse 14 spells it out. It's the absolute certainty of resurrection. We see someone lifting another person up from the ground, and right behind them, the sun is rising on a new day. This isn't just about toughing it out. It's about a deep hope in a future reunion, a brand new start that makes all the present trouble worth it.
And verse 15 shows us the ultimate goal of the whole operation. It's not for them, it's for you. It's for others. Think of a single drop of grace hitting the water. It creates ripples of thanksgiving that just keep expanding outward, getting bigger and bigger. All the struggle is to spread that grace, which then creates this huge, overflowing wave of thankfulness right back to God.
All right, we've reached the final section, the grand finale, seeing the invisible. This is where it all comes together in a massive shift in perspective. It's about making a conscious choice to look past what's right in front of your face and focus on what truly lasts. Verse 16 paints this incredible picture of two things happening at the exact same time. On one hand, you have the outward man. It's like an old stone statue, slowly weathering and crumbling away. But then you have the inward man, and it's like a strong green plant that's growing right up through the cracks of that same statue. So even as the physical body is wearing down, the inner spirit is getting stronger day by day. And then you get to verse 17, and wow, this is one of the most mind-blowing comparisons you'll find. It's a cosmic balancing scale. On one side, you put all your troubles, which the verse calls light and momentary, like a single feather. But on the other side, you put the eternal weight of glory those troubles are producing. It's a giant solid gold block that just slams its side of the scale down. There is absolutely no comparison.
And all of this leads to the final challenge in verse 18. We see a person looking out a window. They can focus on the busy city street below, all the temporary passing stuff. Or they can look up past it all to the vast, eternal universe beyond. The verse urges us to fix our eyes not on what is seen, because that's temporary, but on what is unseen, because that is eternal. So the question this chapter leaves us with is a simple one. What are you looking at?